We're back 8:35, an eye-opening look at the nation's growing mental health crisis in our young people. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, 1 in 5 children and adolescents have a diagnosable mental health disorder. Well, social psychologist Jonathan Haidt has been studying the rising rates of depression and anxiety in the young people. And in his new documentary called The Coddling of the American Mind, he examines the harms of over and under protecting on college campuses.
I was full of self-confidence when I was 18, but while I was in college, that disintegrated.
Mental health among Gen Z is a travesty. Almost every other person I know has some sort of mental health problem.
We face this huge mystery. Why are Gen Zers so anxious and depressed?
That is the provocative question behind this documentary and your life's work, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being here. You wrote this book, The Coddling of American Mind. This is the documentary. You also recently wrote a book called The Anxious Generation, where you really take on this issue of smartphones and tech and the effect it's having on our kids. You know, I think there are probably people who see those stats and see that and say, oh, kids are getting diagnosed more with these mental illnesses because we're aware of them more, because that's what our culture is now. Right. Is it that, or is it the fact that something's happening to our kids?
No, something is happening to our kids. If it was just diagnosis or kids being more willing to say they were depressed, then we wouldn't see increases in behavior like self-harm and suicide. But we do, and it's happening in many, many countries. It's not just us. Something happened around 2012, 2013. Levels of anxiety, depression, and self-harm skyrocketed. I'm a college professor at NYU. We all saw this. The students coming in 2014, 2015 were just really different. Now we know they're Gen Z. And what I found across 2 books is that we can explain it with this simple formulation. We have overprotected our children in the real world since the 1990s. We stopped them from going out and having adventures and independence. And we've underprotected them online. And when they all got on Instagram and other platforms around 2012, that's exactly when the crisis hits. So that's what the 2 books are about. The Coddling of the American Mind is the overprotection. Anxious Generation is more about the social media tech ecosystem.
And we've talked a lot on this show, and it's very much a current topic, thanks in a large part to the book that you wrote about social media and smartphones. And I do want to talk about that. But I think what often gets missed in discussions with you that is just as important is independence for kids. So a lot of us moms are now on the warpath, like no phones until at least high school, no smartphones, no social media. But it's also about increasing kids' independence. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So you're right. All over the world, people are taking up the cause of get phones out of schools, delay smartphones. But the other reform that I'm strongly recommending that we need to do is we need to give kids back a childhood that is fun, that has adventure, in which they learn to be self-supervising and working things out. And that's what the Coddling of the American Mind book was about, and that's what Ted and Courtney Ballacher made this amazing movie about it that really goes into what is it like to be a college student today with all of these bureaucratic overprotections. They act as though the kids are frail, and that makes them actually frail.
There's a way in which you hand your phone to your kid, if you're going to give a smartphone at 10, 11, 12, and you're taking away their childhood.
That's right.
Right then and there. Can you explain that dynamic?
Yes. So kids are attracted to certain things, especially things that give you a quick pleasure. Television was fun to watch, but it doesn't reinforce you. It doesn't train you. Whereas a smartphone, you touch it, you get something. You touch it, you get something. And so kids are just magnetically drawn to the smartphones in particular. Once you give a smartphone to a kid, it's likely, not all kids, but most kids, it's going to move to the center of their life, and it's going to become an experience blocker. So that's what more the Anxious Generation is about.
You really give 4 practical norms, and I think that's one of the reasons why this has really taken off. It's one thing to diagnose a problem. It's another thing to say, here's 4 things that all of us can do right now. Can you kind of walk through what those are?
Yeah, it's actually very simple. If we do these things together, it's actually easier to do. No smartphone before high school. Just give them a flip phone or a phone watch or something. No social media before 16. It's wildly inappropriate for kids. Phone-free schools, and far more independence, free play, and responsibility in the real world. And again, I just want to point out that the Coddling movie is this amazing demonstration of the importance of independence and letting kids develop on their own. People can watch that at thecoddlingmovie.com. There's a lot of ways to watch that movie.
Well, and what's important about it is it's not just, forgive me, us old people talking about it. It's the perspective of the students who've been affected. And if you talk to college students and products of this generation, they're the first to say something's wrong.
Yes, that's right. And that's actually very encouraging. I have not yet met a single member of Gen Z who is in denial. They don't feel like we're attacking them. They don't feel as though we're like, they see the problems. As one Gen Z poet put it, we know that it's poison, but we drink anyway. So they know what's going on, and they need help getting out of the trap. Like, let's put in a minimum age, the way Australia did.
Yeah.
That solves the problem for everyone under 16.
And for those of us with little kids at 10 and 8, don't give them that poison.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Delay until at least high school. We've got to clear this out of middle school and early puberty.
We have to. And if the moms, if you get if you get a culture going around it, then kids aren't saying, I feel left out.
Exactly.
I could talk to you for hours, Jonathan. We'll just continue it after the commercial. But thank you so much for being here.
My
I
pleasure.
want to
Thank you,
mention The
Savannah.
Coddling of the American Mind, the documentary. It's out right now on Apple TV+.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.